It's the most powerful show on television. High drama with intense energy. A show dedicated to a few brave souls who risk their lives for the sake of their craft. Its in-depth reporting goes to the core and unlocks the mysteries behind today's raciest sport. Motorsports. Catch it when you can.
The Speed Station welcomes you to Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the running of the Brickyard 400. In the race analysis, today's event will take place over the course of 80 laps around the 2.5-mile quad oval here in Speedway, Indiana. Stage 1 ends on lap 20, and Stage 2 comes to its conclusion on lap 40. Once again, we will be utilizing the very high downforce package here at Indianapolis, the 9-inch spoiler with the 1-inch 90-degree lip at the top of it, with the 550 horsepower tapered spacer. So what that means is manipulation of the draft is going to be very crucial here today, and pack racing will most likely be a constant. Let's hope that, unlike Pocono, we can conduct it in a safe manner. Kyle Busch is a candy man no more. He is returning to the Joe Gibbs Racing number 18 Toyota Camry this weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, finally off of his 3-race suspension that was handed to him by NASCAR after the Bristol Motor Speedway dirt race in the Camping World Truck Series. I'm sure you all remember what happened between Busch and Ryan Unzicker, turning Unzicker into the pit road attenuator wall on the back straightaway while the caution flag was already out. So Kyle Busch has taken a rather large hit in the point standings after having to sit out the last 3 races, but he's back on the saddle this weekend in the Brickyard 400 without M&M's being represented on his car. Because M&M's, once again, just like what happened in 2011 after the Ron Hornaday incident at Texas Motor Speedway, M&M's has opted to suspend their sponsorship of Kyle Busch. So, for the foreseeable future, until M&M's possibly decides to make a decision to come back to Kyle Busch as a primary sponsorship, Busch will finish out the year with a Rowdy Energy or Interstate Batteries colors on the 18 Toyota Camry. 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Jimmie Johnson is back behind the wheel of Chip Ganassi Racing's 4th car this weekend, the number 92 Carvana Chevrolet. As you recall, last year in Johnson's final year in the 48 car for Hendrick Motorsports, Johnson did not make this race in qualifying, but this season, driving for Ganassi, he has made the show and searching for yet another Brickyard 400 victory. Also returning to NASCAR Cup Series competition is Sam Hornish Jr. As you recall, he drives the number 22 car in the NASCAR Xfinity Series full-time this year after Austin Cindric moved up to Cup to drive for the Wood Brothers. And Hornish is getting just 1 start this season right here in Indianapolis in Roger Penske's 4th entry, the 02 Verizon Ford Mustang. In the regular season point standings, Denny Hamlin is now the point leader by 8 points above Kevin Harvick. As you recall, the last 3 weeks, Harvick has gotten into trouble some way or another, DNF'd in 2 out of the last 3, and got damage in every single one of them. That dropped him from a more than 20-point lead above Hamlin, now to 8 points out of the point lead. So Harvick has some work to do in the final few races of the regular season. Joey Logano is 21 points out of the point lead in 3rd position in the standings. Chase Elliott is 25 points out of the lead. Suarez is 28. Kyle Larson is 53, as well as Alex Bowman, but Larson gets the tiebreaker with his win in the Coca-Cola 600. 2 more drivers who are also tied in the standings are Matt DiBenedetto and Brad Keselowski, who are both 54 points out of the point lead. DiBenedetto gets the tiebreaker with an additional top 5 finish. And rounding out your top 10 in the regular season point standings is Martin Truex Jr., who sets 55 points out of the point lead. In your playoff standings, Denny Hamlin, Brandon Jones, Chase Briscoe, Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Daniel Suarez, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, and Josh Bilicki are all locked into the playoffs with wins so far this season. Jan Magnussen, Harrison Burton, and Anthony Alfredo are 3 full-time drivers with wins this season who currently set outside the top 30 in the regular season standings, which is why they are not currently locked into the playoffs. The best of the rest in the playoff standings is Joey Logano, who is 59 points above the cutoff line, then Bowman, who is 27, DiBenedetto and Keselowski, who are both 26 points above the line. Justin Allgaier is 8 points above the cutoff line, and Eric Jones is 7 points above. Then Clint Boyer, the 2019 Series champion, is 7 points on the outside looking in. Kurt Busch 13 points out, Tyler Reddick is 14 points out, and Quinn Half is 26 points out of making the playoffs presently. Very fittingly, the team that tested at Roger Penske's Indianapolis Motor Speedway was Team Penske, with all 4 of their cars, their 3 full-time drivers, and the O2 being driven by Sam Hornish Jr. And now what all 4 of them noticed, in comparison to the Generation 6 car that they've been practicing around here, is that these cars, with even the same downforce package, are a little bit more maneuverable than the Gen 6 car. That being because they're symmetrical. The disadvantage of being behind another car is a little bit less. As you can see, Logano going 3 wide there to the inside, backs out just a little bit. After all, this is just a test and not a race. Hornish trying to lead the pack at the moment, trying to get around Matt DiBenedetto. These cars are very maneuverable because of their symmetrical shape. It does not lead to nearly as much side force as the current cars have, so they produce much less of a wake, even with that 9-inch spoiler on the rear end. So that means they produce enough of a wake to draft up onto another car, but they don't produce enough dirty air, really, for them to be disturbed enough to where the car behind them is at a very significant disadvantage. So that means that passing is a lot more possible with the next-gen car as compared to the Generation 6 car. Also, along with the aerodynamic advantages of this car having little to no side force, there is the mechanical advantages of having wider tires and less sidewall flex. That means you have a little bit more grip than our current Gen 6 cars, so you can put your cars into a little bit more dangerous situations as compared to what the Gen 6 can do and make passes just a little bit more aggressively. So all 4 drivers out of Team Penske's camp were satisfied with what they experienced from the next-gen car at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the high downforce package test. Hello everyone, welcome back to the NASCAR Cup Series Ride-Along segment. We are back in the test car here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, preparing for the 4th leg of the Drive for 5 Challenge. The only remaining race after the Brickyard 400 is the Darlington Southern 500, which will be the first race of the playoffs. Pretty interesting pit road exit here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Obviously this racetrack heavily influenced by IndyCar racing, so you have this very flat, almost one groove access road to get off of pit road. It's a little tight, especially if you try overdriving it, get up into the dirt, and maybe end up wrecking your car. So anyway, here at Indy, we're running the same aerodynamic and horsepower package that we ran at Pocono. So what that means is we have a tremendous amount of rear downforce, and a little bit more rear downforce actually than front end downforce. So the car is always naturally tight because the front end doesn't want to set. The rear end's got all this weight on it through aero, but the front end doesn't have nearly as much, so it's definitely hard to try to get the car down to the bottom. So you'll see a lot of drivers, especially with the reduced horsepower, running higher lanes, trying to build their momentum and keep their momentum up. So anyway, there is green flag for a mock run. Arc it out towards the wall, turn back down to the inside, try to stay as full throttle as possible. Let the car drift up in the short chute between 1 and 2. Back down to the inside. On fresher rubber, you're obviously going to be able to hold some of the very bottom lanes. As the tires wear out, they're likely going to start to drift up. Now, if I was running a group of cars, I'd start drifting down the racetrack, trying to break the draft. We did not see much of this at Pocono because of the tight corners there, but here at Indy, with these very wide sweeping turns, we can stay in a pack the whole time. And we're definitely going to see a lot of competitors try to break the draft so they will not get freight trained, essentially, on the straightaways here at Indy. Coming off of turn number 4, it's a very smooth surface. They sealed this racetrack just about 2 years ago. Back down to the start-finish line after a very comfortable lap. There is a lap around Indianapolis Motor Speedway in a NASCAR Cup Series car. With the very high downforce package and pack racing that we are likely to see today, it's going to be a very different type of racing here at the Brickyard, and it should be an exciting one here today. Drew Herring has won the pole here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for Gaunt Brothers Racing with an incredible qualifying lap of 50.498, above Tyler Reddick in the 8 car for Richard Childress Racing. He fortunately made the race here at Indy after failing to make the races at Pocono. Last week's winner at Pocono Raceway, Daniel Suarez, qualifies the 00 car in 3rd position. Brandon Jones in 4th. Kevin Harvick in 5th position. Clint Boyer, his teammate, in 6th. Brad Keselowski in 7th spot. Ryan Newman, who won here back in 2019, qualifies the 6 car for Roush Fenway in 8th position. Austin Cindric in the 21 car for the Wood Brothers in 9th. And Kaz Gralla in the 50 for Richard Childress Racing rounds out the top 10. And so now let's get down trackside for the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
All right, boys, just like we talked about in the meeting, what's going to pay off for us today is patience and consistency. Good, smooth racing on the racetrack, and that's what will take us up to the front. We'll be there at the end of this thing.
Pace car hits pit road. Drew Herring leads the field onto the front straightaway in front of a sold-out crowd here for the Brickyard 400. Flagman has the green flag in hand, and there it is. We are racing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Brickyard 400. Drew Herring gets the jump on the start. Already cutting up in front of the 8 car of Tyler Reddick. Here comes Daniel Suarez down on the inside, taking up second position with Kevin Harvick in line behind. Exiting turn number 2, Suarez with a run from the 4 car of Harvick down to the inside of the 96 of Herring. As the field fans out with this incredibly high downforce package, Suarez, the winner at Pocono last week, takes the race lead away down the back straightaway. 4 wide into turn number 3. Austin Cindric all the way down on the bottom. He backs out on the entry to the 3rd turn. Here comes Newman down on the bottom, getting some help from Brad Keselowski as Kevin Harvick takes up second. Down to the start-finish line, Suarez puts the block on the 4 car of Harvick, and Daniel Suarez leads lap number 1. Here comes Harvick down to the inside. 3 wide farther back for 3rd position. Keselowski trying to force his way to the inside of Newman and Brandon Jones. Side-by-side battle for the top spot still as Harvick now gets the door closed on him by the 00 car of Suarez. 00 team is very well prepared for this high downforce racing. They proved that at Pocono, winning both stages in the doubleheader races, finishing second in Duel 1 and taking home the victory in Duel 2, now out front here at Indy. Chase Elliott going 4 wide down on the inside. Now it funnels back down into 3 wide. Very aggressive moves being made early as here comes Harvick with another run back down to the inside of the 00. Suarez blocks down the racetrack. Here comes the 88 car of Keselowski going for second. Brad Keselowski getting some help from the 6 car of Ryan Newman. Farther back, an almost 4 wide move being made by Kaz Gralla. He backs out in the entry to turn 1. Up on the outside, Drew Herring still losing positions with some drafting help coming from Kyle Busch. Now Busch goes to his inside. And Chase Briscoe 3 wide to the inside of Busch and Herring. 4 and 00 cars still 1-2. Clint Boyer now getting up into the mix, drafting with the 88 car. Here comes Harvick to the inside of the 00. Kevin Harvick going for the top spot right now. Not very much drafting help coming for either driver from behind. Out of turn number 4, still side by side. It looks like Harvick's going to have the advantage with a more organized inside lane. Here comes the 21 of Cindric trying to shuffle Clint Boyer out at the stripe. It is a close race for the lead, and Harvick gets it. The field still fanning out down to turn number 1. The 21 car of Cindric backs off as Harvick still battles with Suarez for the top spot. Inside lane now starting to lose organization as Keselowski has been shuffled out. 00 of Suarez up on the outside, getting a push from the 20 of Brandon Jones down the backstretch. These competitors are using up pretty much every single lane. Entering turn number 3, the 00 car of Suarez still out front. Here comes the Stewart-Haas teammates of Harvick and Boyer down on the inside. Exiting turn number 4, Harvick being pushed out ahead of the 00 by his teammate Clint Boyer. Harvick now takes away the race lead, and at the start-finish line, Harvick is your race leader. Stewart-Haas 1-2 now with Harvick out front, Boyer into second. Denny Hamlin is a little bit farther back in the 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. He currently resides in 24th position. If the race were to end now, Harvick would retake the point lead. Clinton Boyer up into second position. Christopher Bell, who has experience here in the high downforce package in NASCAR's Xfinity Series, has now raced his way into 8th position, going through the middle with the 18 car of Kyle Busch. On the inside, Boyer still going for second off the 00 car of Suarez. He gets moved up to the middle lane by the 88 of Keselowski as Suarez takes up second once again. Daniel Suarez using the draft down the front straightaway, now cuts down to the inside of the 4 car of Harvick. Keselowski going way down on the bottom, almost makes contact with the 18 car of Kyle Busch. They managed to keep it going as the 00 now being hounded by the 20 and 61 cars of Bell and Brandon Jones. Bell going for third spot, but he has almost no drafting help down on the inside. 00 and 20 cars of Brandon Jones and Suarez push their way past the 61 as the 14 of Boyer has started to drop back. Here comes Brandon Jones down to the inside of Daniel Suarez going for second. Looks like Jones might be able to take it if he can get into the toe of the 4 car of Harvick. And it looks like Brandon Jones has now taken up second position. 61 and 00 cars tandeming up on the outside lane, trying to clear him. Can't quite do it as here comes the 21. Dive bombing into turn number 1, getting side by side with Newman and Reddick, but he has to back off on the exit of turn 1. Now Brandon Jones to the inside of Kevin Harvick for the top spot. Outside lane has much more organization than the inside. Outside lane working together very well down the back straightaway. The 4, 00, and 61 cars in a tandem. 20 trying to make it almost by himself down on the bottom. Brandon Jones has just a little bit better front turn in the 20 than the 4 car of Harvick. Able to turn just a little bit lower, but doesn't have quite the help that the 4 car does. Now here comes Boyer up to push the 20. Side by side down to the start-finish line. This time, it is Brandon Jones to lead the lap. 2 wins already on the season, trying to take home his first career Crown Jewel race win. As Jones takes away the race lead, here comes Boyer down to the inside in his final full-time Cup Series season. Side by side down the back straightaway. Boyer does not have that much drafting help down on the inside. The 20 in a very good drafting train with the 4 and 00 cars up on his outside. And Brandon Jones once again closes the door on the 14 car of Boyer. Now Suarez being shuffled out as Kyle Busch jumps to the middle. Christopher Bell down on the inside, being pushed by the 6 car of Newman. Now Newman dives to his bottom. Boyer takes up second position. Right up in front of the 4 car of Harvick. Those are teammates, and here comes Harvick now to the inside of the 14. And Boyer closes the door on the 4 car of Kevin Harvick. Now the 4 and 61 cars battle for third position. Chase Elliott being shuffled out of line by the 31 of Ty Dillon. The 02 car of Sam Hornish Jr. has started to carve his way through the field. The 4th entry for Team Penske currently resides in 16th position in his Cup Series return to action. Also, if you're wondering about Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he returned to action this weekend trying to make the field for the Brickyard 400. Unfortunately, he did not make this race on time, but Stenhouse did attempt to qualify for the field in the 47 car for JTG Daugherty Racing. So he will be back in that car next week and try to finish out the season. Because right now, Stenhouse has not been signed to a contract extension. And it's just a 1-year deal right now for Stenhouse. Looks like his contract with JTG Daugherty will be coming to a conclusion at the end of this season. Here comes Boyer down to the inside, the 20 of Brandon Jones down the back stretch. As you can tell, these two have kind of gapped the field at the moment. Working together, they have really cleared the pack. Looks like Boyer will reside in second position as the 20 car clears him up on the outside. Here comes Harvick with a run. Now cuts down to the bottom. Kevin Harvick with a big-time run going for second position. Kyle Busch farther back trying to make it 4 wide now to the inside of the 8, 50, and 00. Almost made it work, but Kyle Busch backs out on the entry to turn number 1. It was a little bit too dicey to try and commit with that move. Boyer still remains in second position. Newman battling alongside the 4 of Harvick for third spot. Down the back straightaway, the 14 and 20 cars still tandeming. They're gapping the field. Farther back, we still have the 4 and 6 cars of Harvick and Newman battling side by side for third. Looks like Newman is going to take the position off of turn number 4. Last year's winner of this race, Ryan Blaney, is not having a very good run so far. Currently resides in 37th position. Back out front, the 6 car of Newman has closed the gap right up to the 14 of Boyer and 20 of Brandon Jones. Now he looks down to the inside. Going for second position, not very much organization from behind as Harvick now cuts down to his bottom. Harvick getting a little bit of drafting help coming from the 50 of Kaz Gralla, entering turn number 3. They stay hooked up. Now to the inside of the 6 of Newman. Here comes Boyer trying to make the look back to the inside of the 20. Can't quite do it. They are still tandeming down the front straightaway. Harvick now taking up third spot as Newman gets shuffled out. 21 of Cindric down to the inside trying to make it 3 wide, but he backs out on the entry to turn 1. Clint Boyer all over the back bumper of the 20 of Brandon Jones. He's likely waiting for the 4 car of Harvick, his teammate, to get up there with him and try to push their way around the 20 of Jones. Now the field running in a little bit of a single file organization. Here comes Harvick to the inside of the 14 of Boyer. Forces his teammate up the racetrack. Newman pushes just a little bit on the exit of turn number 3. Almost got up into the outside wall. But Brandon Jones still out front in the 20 for Joe Gibbs Racing. It's a little bit warmer out here at Indianapolis than what was expected in the forecast. As you can tell, no clouds in sight, making the racetrack just a little bit slicker and breaking up some of the pack racing. 77 of Haley down on the inside. He backs out on the entry to turn 1. Getting a fairly good run right now for Spire, running in 18th position. 14 car of Boyer trying to make a look on the 20 of Brandon Jones. Still has to deal with the 4 car of Harvick, his teammate. They are not really working together as Harvick once again tries to get to the inside. Has some drafting help coming from the 61 of Christopher Bell, but can't quite do it. You know, it's important to note that Spire Motorsports actually had 2 of their cars fail to make the race. The 7 of Corey LaJoie and the 16 of AJ Allmendinger all did not make the show here at Indy, but they're getting a good run right now with Haley. He's driven his way up to 16th, now trying to get the run on the 8 car of Reddick for 15th spot. Back out front, the 14 car of Boyer still trying to set up a run with the 4 of Harvick, but Harvick is not playing very well with teammates. Now once again shoots it back to the inside. 61 of Bell trying to make it to the bottom of Harvick. Side by side for third position, can't quite do it as Harvick clears him on the exit of turn 3. Daniel Suarez getting the run on the 18 car of Kyle Busch. Busch has raced his way up into 8th position in his Cup Series return. Now goes to the inside of the 21 and 50. Trying to make it 3 wide into the first turn, as well as Christopher Bell, who backs out on the entry to turn 1. Kyle Busch also backed out as well. Here comes Boyer back to the inside of the 20. This time Brandon Jones does not have much drafting help. Where will Harvick go in the 4 car? He's trying to go 3 wide for the race lead down the back stretch. 3 wide for the top spot entering turn number 3. Who's going to lift into the 3rd turn? Harvick backs out just a little bit down on the inside. Clinton Boyer is going to take away the race lead here at Indy. In the 14 car for Stewart Haas Racing, Boyer is out front with just 5 laps to go in stage number 1. Brandon Jones has to regroup in 2nd position with the 61 of Christopher Bell trying to take up 3rd. Michael McDowell all the way down on the inside. He has to back out on the entry to turn 1. How about the 0-2 of Sam Hornish Jr. now racing his way into the top 10. Brandon Jones with another good run on the 14 of Boyer. Now gets down to the inside. He has some drafting help coming from the 4 of Harvick. Entering the 3rd turn, Boyer with almost no drafting help up on the outside. Brandon Jones takes away the race lead once again. Harvick into 2nd spot. Kaz Gralla down on the inside. The 50 car tried to get to the inside the 61. Couldn't quite do it. Loses a little bit of momentum off the 4th turn and allows the 21 of Cindric to his inside. Here comes Bell, getting the run on the 14 of Boyer. Off into turn number 1. Bell does not have much drafting help. It looks like Boyer is going to hold the 3rd position. Kevin Harvick backed up just a little bit on the exit of turn number 2, possibly allowing the 14 car of Boyer to get right up with him and potentially draft their way past the 20 of Brandon Jones. 21 of Cindric slides right up in front of the 18 car of Kyle Busch to take up another spot. Down to the start-finish line, this time by just 2 laps to go in stage number 1. Kyle Busch farther back, going 3 wide to the bottom. Actually now 4 wide with Hornish and Briscoe in the middle. Busch backs off on the entry to turn number 1, allowing the field to get around him. 77 and 31 cars almost touched on the exit of the 1st turn, trying to pass the slowing 18 car of Kyle Busch. Back out front, the 14 of Harvick. Back out front, the 4 of Harvick to the inside of the 20 of Brandon Jones. He has the 61 of Christopher Bell coming up with him. Looks like Kevin Harvick is going to take up second position on the exit of turn number 4. As the 20 of Brandon Jones still leads the field, here comes Harvick to the inside, and the 61 of Bell going 3 wide for the top spot down the front straightaway. Now just 1 lap to go in stage number 1. 3 wide at the stripe. Brandon Jones led it at the start-finish line. Here comes Bell down on the bottom. He backs out. And Kevin Harvick takes away the race lead on the exit of turn 1. Boyer trying to take up second. Off the 20 car of Brandon Jones, Stuart Haas car is going to try and work together down the back stretch. How about the 77 racing his way up into the top 10? Entering turn number 3, they're almost 4 wide for position as the 77 makes contact with the 6 of Newman. 4 wide goes the 34 of McDowell to the inside, the 02, 21 and 50, trying to make it work on the exit of the final turn. Down to the start-finish line. There was contact between the 88 and 31. Kevin Harvick is going to win stage number 1 at Indy. Close battle for second. It was too close at the start-finish line to make a determination. And scoring gives it to the 20 of Brandon Jones to hold second spot above the 14 car of Boyer. They almost touch right there under the caution flag. The 77 of Justin Haley actually raced his way all the way into 4th position. And the 61 of Christopher Bell takes up 5th. Incredible racing so far here at Indianapolis, and no cautions through the first stage. The 22 of Joey Logano actually raced his way up into 22nd. That's quite an improvement on his starting position. Here was the contact out of turn number 4. The 31 of Ty Dillon actually turns down into the 88 of Keselowski, almost turning them both around on the exit of the final turn, but they somehow keep it going. This was also the battle back to the stripe for second position. The 20 car of Brandon Jones just barely edges out the 14 car of Boyer. In fact, look at this. At the start of the start-finish line, the 20 of Brandon Jones is ahead, but at the end of the start-finish line, the 14 of Boyer is ahead. It was that close at the stripe. And now, after just a quick commercial break, we'll be back right here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the beginning of stage number 2. NASCAR on Speed Station is being brought to you by RFJ, the official home of the RFJ AI series. By Knife Friend 725, the brains behind Project Retroval. And by Anthony's Online Simulation League. Welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It looks like most of the lead lap cars will be hitting pit road this time by, being led down by Stage 1 winner Kevin Harvick. It's also important to note that the pole sitter Drew Herring dropped all the way down to 18th position over the first 20 laps. And 7-time Cup Series champion Jimmy Johnson in the 92 for Chip Ganassi Racing actually only raced his way up to 32nd, so not a very good run going so far for Johnson. The first car out of the pits is the 4 of Harvick, getting out in front of the 14 car of Clint Boyer, then the 61 of Christopher Bell, 20 of Brandon Jones, and 6 car of Ryan Newman. The 77 of Justin Haley lost a couple spots on pit road with a slightly delayed stop. How about this? The 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. actually runs all the way down in 40th position. Not a very good run going on right now for the 19 team. We have a very narrow pit road here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Obviously, it's not built for our large stock cars. It's built for open-wheel race cars. And the 24 of William Byron actually got in trouble on pit road, accidentally rammed the back of another car, and he has somewhat significant front-end damage on the 24. Not enough to knock him out of the race. It didn't get to the radiator, but it's definitely going to affect his aerodynamics over the course of the Brickyard 400. The only driver in the field who has a shot at the Drive for 5 money is the 57 of Kyle Larson, because the 71 of Josh Bilicki did not make the field, and the 30 car of Brendan Poole did not even show up to attempt to qualify. So the 57 of Larson currently resides in 39th position. It looks like today might not be his day, and I doubt that anyone is going to get the Drive for $5 million this year. Pace car hits pit road. Kevin Harvick leads the field onto the front straightaway and into the restart zone for the start of stage number 2 here in the Brickyard 400. There's the green flag. Harvick gets the jump on the restart above his teammate Clint Boyer in the 14 car. Down into turn number 1. The field getting up to speed with a restricted package and high downforce. It takes about a lap to get fully wound out. Here comes the 6 car of Newman to the inside of the 20 of Brandon Jones. Looks like Jones might be able to hold the spot on the exit of turn number 2. Here comes the 14 going side by side with his teammate Harvick for the top spot. Brandon Jones cuts down to the inside to try and help Boyer. Harvick tries to close the door off into turn number 3. Boyer forces the issue, and Newman going 3 wide to the inside. Clinton Boyer still side by side with Kevin Harvick on the exit of turn number 4. Down to the start-finish line. Brian Newman trying to take up 3rd position. At the stripe, it is Boyer to lead the lap. Michael McDowell cutting his way through the field farther back. He backs off on the entry to turn number 1. And the 31 of Ty Dillon is now taken up 4th position. Here comes Brandon Jones down on the inside of Boyer. Going for the top spot. Where will Harvick go down the backstretch? Looks like he's going to side with his teammate. That's going to give Boyer the advantage down the long back straightaway. Entering turn number 3, you can see the field snake down the backstretch trying to break the draft. And Boyer still out front with help from his teammate Kevin Harvick. Through 3 and 4, the 14 still out front with the 4 and 20 battling for 2nd. Outside lane with a little bit better organization down the front straightaway than the inside, as the 20 and 31 cars are a little bit separated down the front stretch. Absolute pack racing here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Currently, the top 15 cars are only separated by 1 second. On the exit of turn number 2, we have a battle for 3rd position between Christopher Bell and Brandon Jones. As the field fans out, here comes Harvick to the inside of his teammate Boyer. The field on fresh rubber. You can hold the throttle down just a little bit longer. It's brought the pack all together. Side by side for the top spot through turns 3 and 4. Harvick trying to make it work down on the inside. Kevin Harvick currently inching ahead, as the 14 and 4 don't have very much drafting help coming from behind. Farther back, the 00 car of Suarez tried to make it 3 wide down the front straightaway. How about Eric Jones in the 37 for JTG Doherty starting to carve his way through the field, as Kevin Harvick is going to take away the race lead. But now the inside lane has started to fall apart, as the 20 of Jones had to back off down to turn number 1. But now Christopher Bell jumps down to the inside to try and help the 4 of Harvick down the back stretch. And it looks like Harvick's going to have the advantage in the draft down the long back straightaway, unless Bell tries to make the look down to the inside. Currently staying in line, now side by side in multiple rows out front. Almost the entire top 20 in one frame here at Indy. The 4 jumps up to the outside to work with his teammate Clint Boyer. Here comes the Toyotas on the inside of Bell and Jones. At the start-finish line, here comes a run from the 61. And it is going to be almost too close to call at the stripe. Scoring gives it to the 4 of Kevin Harvick. 8 car of Reddick sending it all the way almost onto the grass entering turn number 1. He had to back off into the first turn, as the 61 still goes side by side with the 4 on the exit of turn number 2. Looks like Christopher Bell might have the advantage down the back straightaway, but here comes a move by Justin Haley. Try and get around the 20 of Brandon Jones. Here comes the 00 going 4 wide and entering turn number 3. An aggressive move out of Suarez. He backs off on the entry to turn 3. Fortunately, because I believe if he would have pressured that situation, it might have ended up with a large accident, as Harvick now gets away with the race lead up on the outside. Harvick out front here at Indianapolis. Got an almost 3 wide battle for 2nd. Justin Haley trying to make it work with a push from Michael McDowell. Entering turn number 1, he backs off and almost makes contact with McDowell. Now the battle for 2nd is between Bell and Jones, as McDowell goes through the middle, moving up into the 5th position. Michael McDowell scored the victory at Talladega Superspeedway last season in the Yellowwood 500, searching for his 2nd career victory. 14 and 20 working together very well down the back stretch, trying to take up 2nd. Looks like Jones is going to take the spot as Newman goes 3 wide to the bottom. Ryan Newman picking up a couple positions right there to the inside of McDowell. Now trying to pressure his way underneath Cindric. Can't quite do it as the outside lane Fords work together. McDowell, Cindric, and Boyer all up there on the outside lane, training. Now here comes Boyer down to the inside as Harvick and Brandon Jones once again out front. 4 wide move farther back. Matt DiBenedetto backs out with now just 10 laps to go in stage number 2 here at Indianapolis. Down the back stretch, the field still fanning out with the 4 car of Harvick blocking the 20. 21 and 61 cars side by side now for 4th. Here comes Jones going for the top spot through 3 and 4. Not very much drafting help for either driver right now. The 14 car of Boyer is just a little bit too far back to try and help the 20 or 4 cars. But here they come down the front straightaway. Huge gains from the cars behind. At the stripe, it is still Harvick to lead the lap, with some drafting help coming from his teammate Clint Boyer. Here comes Kyle Busch down on the inside. He backs out, makes contact with the 77 of Justin Haley, as now Busch has raced his way up into 6th position. The 20 of Brandon Jones still on the inside of the 4 and 14 cars. 2 Fords on the outside, 2 Toyotas on the inside. Down the back stretch, they're fanning out to try and break the draft. Here comes the 21 of Cindric into the mix, trying to go 3 wide to the inside, the 61 and 14. Can't quite do it, but he tried to force the issue off into turn number 3. Kyle Busch getting up into the mix as Haley and Newman almost made contact on the exit of turn number 3. Brandon Jones starting to inch ahead of the 4 car of Harvick. In fact, he takes the lead away down the front straightaway as the SHR Fords work together. Very close race at the stripe. It was still the 20 of Jones to lead. He does not have very much drafting help down the back straightaway. The 4 of Harvick clears the 20 of Brandon Jones down on the inside, now cuts to the bottom. Back up in front of the 14 car of Boyer now as Boyer gets down to the inside. SHR 1-2 once again. The 10 car of Eric Almirola has also started to make significant gains down on the inside, racing his way up into 10th position. Here comes the 9 of Chase Elliott, getting down to the bottom to try and work with the 21 of Austin Cindric. Elliott has raced his way up into 7th position. The 6 of Newman still working with the 61 of Christopher Bell on the exit of turn 1. And it looks like Newman's going to take up 5th position, cutting down in front of the 21 of Austin Cindric. Here comes Brandon Jones on the inside of the 14 of Clint Boyer. Newman trying to go 3 wide down the back stretch. The 61 and 20 cars work together through the middle, with Brandon Jones taking up 2nd once again. Almost 4 wide racing right there as Kyle Busch tried to shove it through the middle. They managed to make it stick. Tell you what, this high downforce package allows you to make very risky moves and get away with them with the amount of downforce on the rear. It keeps the car from spinning, as now we have a battle for 2nd. Clint Boyer back up into 2nd position. Almost 4 wide entering turn number 1. The 2 car of DiBenedetto backs out, as well as the 6 of Newman. Kyle Busch up into 5th position. That's 3 Toyotas in the top 5. These Toyotas could obviously work together, but right now down the back stretch, they're going 3 wide. No one helping each other right now. Here comes the 10 of Eric Almirola down on the bottom. Contact between the 61 and 20 on the entry to the 3rd turn. Almirola trying to make it work with the 18 car of Kyle Busch. Now moves up to Busch's outside and back in line behind the 18. Down the front straightaway, here comes the 14 car of Boyer with a large run on the 4. Now cuts down to the bottom. When he backs off entering turn 1, contact between the 61 and 14. Boyer and Bell follow each other up into the wall. The 9 car of Elliott gets involved. 77 of Haley gets turned around. Right up in front of the field. 14 car of Boyer back up into the wall and gets hit up onto the fence. A big mess on the exit of turn 2. And the caution flag is waving here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway after a very large accident through the first 2 turns that once again involved Clint Boyer. Harvick still out front. Cindric running in 2nd. And the 20 of Brandon Jones in 3rd position. Back down to the start-finish line. The 21 of Cindric in line to get a run, but he will not make the move as Harvick leads the field back to the caution flag. Kevin Harvick is your race leader above the 21 of Austin Cindric, the 20 of Brandon Jones, the 6 of Newman, and the 18 of Kyle Busch. So Boyer made the move down to the inside, the 4 of Harvick. The 61 car of Bell tried to follow him down on the inside, but Boyer's backing off, and that causes the 61 car of Bell to make contact with the 14, almost carried the 4 car of Harvick as well up into the outside wall. The 14 and 61 make contact with the wall. They almost save it, but then the 9 car of Elliott makes contact with him, spinning the 9 car around. And then the 77 trying to miss it, makes contact with the 2 of DiBenedetto, who then turns the 77 of Haley down into the inside wall with a pretty hard impact, then back up in front of the field, makes contact with the 88 of Keselowski, 00 of Suarez, then the 14 car of Boyer gets involved again, 55 of Chastain. Magnussen actually missed this. He's probably missed the most amount of wrecks of any driver this season. 92 car of Jimmy Johnson missed it, 22 of Logano, then the 3 car of Dillon has nowhere to go, makes contact with the 14 of Boyer, gets the rear end of the 14 car up into the air, then Boyer comes to rest on top of the safer barrier as the 11 car of Hamlin, the point leader coming into this race, is wrecked out. The 24 of Byron, then the 3 makes contact with the 14, pushing him up onto the safer barrier, then the 17 piles into the mess, the 31, the 9, the pole sitter, then Logano gets involved in it as well, and the 55 car gets up into the outside wall with a hard impact. So here's what happened to Logano. They were trying to check up behind the slowing 55 car. Logano makes contact with the 96 of Herring, carrying the 96 and 55 cars up into the outside wall as well. Then farther back, the 9 car of Elliott slides down the racetrack and gets hit by the 31 and 17 cars. Just absolutely nowhere to go for these competitors. And a big one-style accident here at Indianapolis. Also sliding down the racetrack, the 9 car of Elliott actually made contact with the 23 of Bubba Wallace, but fortunately for Wallace, he kept that car going. So the reason the 9 car got involved is because he hit the 00 car of Suarez. Just a very large crash on the exit of turn number 2. Fortunately, no injuries. And even more fortunately, Boyer's impact here at Indy was once again at a reduced speed. It was not a full speed impact from the 3 of Dillon to the 14 car of Boyer, which is why Boyer climbed out. And so this caution has officially brought an end to stage number 2. Kevin Harvick will sweep both stages here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Above, Austin Cindric, the 20 of Brandon Jones, the 6 of Newman, and the 18 of Kyle Busch. And so now, after just a quick commercial break, we'll be back right here in Indianapolis for the beginning of the final stage. NASCAR on Speed Station is being brought to you by RFJ, the official home of the RFJ AI series, by Knife Friend 725, the brains behind Project Retroval, and by Anthony's Online Simulation League. Welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Most of the lead lap cars have opted to stay out, with the exception of Eric Almirola, Matt DiBenedetto, Jan Magnussen, and Jimmy Johnson, as well as all the cars who suffered damage from the large accident but continued in the race. I will say this about Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Unlike the wreck that we had at Pocono in duel number 1, the drivers were still able, for the most part, to miss the accident. I know quite a few competitors piled into the mess because they really didn't have much of anywhere to go. But still, about 10 or 15 cars actually made it through the mess, which is a whole lot more than made it through at Pocono. We have quite a few cars who are still in the race who have pretty significant damage from the mess, including Anthony Alfredo, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., and Ross Chastain. So they will all be racing for points down to the checkered flag. All the cars that are now out of the race following that massive accident that ended Stage 2 are Ty Dillon, William Byron, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Clint Boyer, Daniel Suarez, Justin Haley, who had a great run going, Chris Buescher, Austin Dillon, Tyler Ankrum, and Denny Hamlin. Hamlin will finish in last position here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He entered this race as the point leader, and guess what? The driver who came into this race second in the standings is your race leader, Kevin Harvick. So it looks like Denny Hamlin's point lead will not last very long here at Indy. Pace car ducks onto pit road. Kevin Harvick leads the field onto the front straightaway for a single file restart. Into the restart zone to begin the final stage here in the Brickyard 400. And there's the green flag. Here comes the 20 of Brandon Jones up to the outside of the 21 of Cindric. Cindric goes up to block. And like I mentioned during the last restart, takes about a lap to get these cars up to full song. Here comes the 20 of Brandon Jones down to the inside of the 21. Side-by-side battle for second position. Here comes Newman with a big run coming from the 18 car of Kyle Busch. now 4 wide for second. Kyle Busch sends it into turn number 3, all the way down on the bottom. But Busch backs out. Now Newman, side by side with Brandon Jones for the second position. Kevin Harvick getting away with the race lead with this intense battle for second position. Down the front straightaway, Harvick moves down the racetrack to block. Ryan Newman takes up second with a push coming from Austin Cindric. Entering turn number 1, Cindric backs off just a little bit from the 6 car of Newman, as Newman clears the 21 for second position. How about this? The 89 of Landon Castle up in the 4th spot. They've been having incredible runs all season long at Shepherd Racing Ventures. The 43 of Myatt Snyder has raced his way into 8th position with a little bit of hood damage from the big one. Here comes the 6 of Newman. Down to the inside of the 4 car of Harvick. Cindric sides with the 4 up on the outside. Side by side, exiting turn number 4. Newman on the inside, Harvick up on the top. 89 car of Landon Castle right up to the back bumper, the 6 of Newman. And at the stripe, it is Newman to lead the lap. Ryan Newman from Indiana, leading at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the 6 car for Roush Fenway Racing. The 4 and 21 cars of Harvick and Cindric are going to have great momentum down the back straightaway, hooked up. And now here comes Kyle Busch down to the inside, trying to separate the draft that the 89 has with the 6 of Newman. Entering turn number 3, Newman and Harvick still side by side. Through 3 and 4. The 6 car of Ryan Newman getting some help still from the 89 of Landon Castle, but the 18 car of Kyle Busch has pulled back the 89 car of Castle. Newman side by side with Harvick, and Harvick leads at the stripe. Here comes the 20 of Brandon Jones trying to go through the middle as Newman backs off just a little bit. Kevin Harvick back out front at Indianapolis. 21 of Cindric trying to take up second. Kyle Busch still trying to make up gains by himself all the way on the bottom. Newman still dropping back. Looks like the 20 of Brandon Jones is going to take up third. Through turn 4, the 4 car of Harvick now about 2 car lengths ahead of the 21 of Cindric. And remember, most of these competitors up front opted to stay out on the most recent caution. That means they will likely have to come down pit road at least once during this final stage, but drivers farther back who came down pit road, such as the 10 of Almirola and the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto, if we get no cautions, they can make it all the way to the finish. So this might be a very brilliant strategy call for some of these organizations. But if we get a caution flag, that's going to equalize everything, because I guarantee you everyone's going to come down pit road for fresh rubber. Down the back stretch, the 4 car of Harvick up to the outside to block the 21. Now back down to the bottom to block the 6 of Newman. Cindric trying to win the Wood Brothers' 101st win as an organization. They got their 100th last season in the Coca-Cola 600 with Matt DiBenedetto. But Austin Cindric going for his first career NASCAR Cup Series win. Here comes Cindric down to the inside. He has to back off on the entry to the first turn. Ryan Newman right up to the back bumper, the 21 of Cindric. Here comes the 89 of Landon Castle to the inside, forcing the issue underneath the 21. As Castle's getting some help coming from the 18 car of Kyle Busch. Entering turn number 3. 89 car starting to inch ahead of the 21 up on the outside. Inside lane has a little bit better organization. And Landon Castle's going to take up second for Shepherd Racing Ventures. Sliding up in front of the 21 of Cindric. Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota's down on the inside, but they separate. Brandon Jones going for the spot underneath Kyle Busch. And Jones backs off on the entry to turn 1. Almost got ran into from behind by the 8 of Reddick. 18 car of Kyle Busch going for third position. Here comes the 89 of Castle, trying to get to the inside of the 4 of Harvick down the back stretch. Landon Castle inching now ahead of the 4 car of Harvick down into turn number 3. Castle with drafting help coming from the 18 car of Kyle Busch. Harvick almost by himself up on the outside. And Landon Castle takes the lead away as Ryan Newman forces a 3-wide move underneath Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. Who would have expected this? Castle out front in the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Here comes another Indiana-born driver. The 53 of Chase Briscoe has raced his way up into 6th position. Down on the inside, Kyle Busch has taken up 2nd. Rolling great momentum with the 89 car of Landon Castle. Now the field fanning out down the back straightaway. Castle looks like he's going to clear the 18 car. Not quite, as Kyle Busch side drafts him back. Entering turn number 3. Kyle Busch side by side with Landon Castle for the top spot. Now to turn number 4. JGR on the inside, and Castle backs off. Kyle Busch out front in his return to Cup Series competition. But it's not over yet, as here comes the 20 of Brandon Jones back down to the bottom, building the run, with the 21 of Cindric now forcing it all the way to the bottom. He backs off on the entry to the first turn as the 6 car of Newman shoots around on his outside. 33 car of Jan Magnussen carving his way through the field almost into a top 10 running position. The 4 car of Kevin Harvick has retaken 2nd position up on the outside, drafting with the 18 of Kyle Busch. Now getting to the inside, entering turn 3. Harvick and Busch side by side for the top spot here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Lap traffic up in front of the leaders. It is the 23 of Wallace and the 95 of Harrison Burton. Kevin Harvick with a push from the 20 of Brandon Jones takes the race lead away. 18 car of Kyle Busch already dropping down to 4th position. There's the lap traffic. Right up in front of the 4, they bottleneck the field entering turn 1. As Harvick gets away with the race lead. Outside lane getting blocked. Kurt Busch makes contact with the 12 of Blaney. They keep it together so far. Nearly an accident right there through turns 1 and 2, but they keep it going. The 37 of Eric Jones has driven his way up to 4th. Getting around the lap traffic. Kyle Busch boxed in by the 95 and 23 cars. He has dropped down already about 15 positions. And Reddick makes contact right there on the short chute between 3 and 4 with the 95 of Harrison Burton. Now finally gets down to the inside as Ryan Blaney still boxed in. Here comes the 37 of Eric Jones trying to make it 3 wide for 2nd position down the front straightaway. But he has to lift entering turn 1 as Cindric takes up 2nd. Kevin Harvick still out front in the 4 car for Stewart-Haas Racing. The 41 of Cole Custer now starting to carve his way through the field. Outrunning Kyle Busch at the moment. Currently resides in 11th position. It's been a good day for pretty much every single Stewart-Haas car. Now here comes the 21 of Cindric to the inside of the 4 of Harvick as the field fans out, entering turn number 3. The 21 of Cindric with some help coming from the 20 of Brandon Jones. Now Jones jumps up to help the 4 of Harvick. Austin Cindric takes away the race lead on the exit of turn number 4 in the 21 for the Wood brothers. Now just 30 laps to go here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway with Brandon Jones moving up into 2nd position. Eric Jones trying to take 3rd in the 37 for JTG Doherty Racing. The 20 of Brandon Jones tandeming with the 21 now down the back straightaway. Trying to make the look down to the inside as they follow each other down the long back stretch. You can see the field trying to snake their way down the back straightaway and break the draft. 92 car Jimmy Johnson's also starting to make his way through the field for Chip Ganassi Racing as the 20 and 21 cars have started to break away from the pack. How about this? The 34 of Michael McDowell racing for 5th position with the 6 of Newman and the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Newman forces his way up into 5th with that move on the exit of turn 4. The highest car on fresh tires right now is the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto, who has just taken up 7th position. On the exit of turn number 1, now into turn 2, the 20 and 21 cars still tandem drafting. And here comes the 20 trying to look down to the inside, down the back stretch. Here comes Brandon Jones. He's got some help coming from Eric Jones. Now potentially a 3-wide move being made by the 37. He gets back in line, but Harvick goes to the bottom of the 37. Almost contact right there between Eric and Brandon Jones. As Brandon Jones looks like he's going to take the race lead away through 3 and 4. The 20 car back out front for Joe Gibbs Racing. Eric Jones moving up into second. As the field fans out down the front stretch, here comes Eric Jones with a run coming from the 4 car of Harvick. Now cuts down to the bottom. Harvick going 3 wide into the first turn. And Harvick has to back out. As now the 20 and 37 battle side by side. It is Brandon Jones holding the race lead. Newman now to the inside. Going for second position. The 21 and 37 cars tandeming down the back straightaway. Now just barely separated as Ryan Newman side drafts the 37. Entering the third turn, the 6 still trying to go side by side with the 37 of Eric Jones. Almost contact between the 21 and 37 as Eric Jones takes up second position in the 37 for JTG Doherty Racing as the 20 of Brandon Jones has started to gap the field. 6 car of Newman, though, not done yet. Still battling for third position with the 21 of Cindric. Looks like he's going to take it with a push coming from Harvick. And the 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto has to back out just a little bit right there. He has driven his way up to 6th position on fresh rubber. We now have a 4-car tandem out front. The 20 of Brandon Jones being battled side by side by the 37 of Eric Jones. Side by side for the top spot entering turn number 3. Almost contact as the 37 runs him wide, and Eric Jones takes the race lead away. Entering turn number 3, the 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto gets forced wide on the exit of the third turn with the 6 of Newman battling side by side with the 20 of Brandon Jones down the front straightaway. Incredible racing here at Indianapolis with now just 25 laps to go. The 6 of Newman still going side by side with the 20 of Brandon Jones as Jones gets the push from the 4 car of Harvick and retakes second position. The 37 still out front, 20 up into second position with the 4 car taking up third. Now down the back straightaway, the 20 tries to take the look up to the outside of the 37. It looks like Brandon Jones is going to clear the 4 car of Harvick down into turn number 3 as Harvick tries to force it in on the inside. Can't quite do it, though, as the 20 of Brandon Jones clears him on the exit of the third turn. Off of turn 4, battle side by side between the 21 and 4 of Cindric and Harvick. Austin Cindric side drafts the 4 of Harvick at the stripe. It is still Harvick to hold the spot. Who will lift first entering turn number 1? It looks like Cindric is going to back off first with the 4 car holding the momentum up on the outside. And the 20, once again, tandeming with the 37 out front. Brandon Jones trying to gap the field with the 37 car of Eric Jones as the 21 of Cindric looks like he's going to take up third off the 4 of Harvick with some drafting help coming from the 18 of Kyle Busch. Austin Cindric in the third spot. Kyle Busch into 4th. Ryan Newman now in the battle for 5th position. Cole Custer has raced his way up into 10th spot, now going for 9th on the inside of McDowell. Austin Cindric down the front stretch, gets to the inside of the 20 of Brandon Jones. Has to back out, though, on the entry to the first turn as the 20 shoots by up on the outside. 4 car of Harvick looks like he's going to hold 4th position with a good run on the exit of turn number 2. But here comes the 18 car of Kyle Busch on his inside with some drafting help coming from the 6 of Newman. Lap traffic right up in front of the race leaders. It's the 95 of Harrison Burton. Here comes the 20 to the inside with Austin Cindric trying to force a 3-wide move for the top spot through turns 3 and 4. Cindric going 3 wide down on the bottom. And Austin Cindric's going to take the race lead away. Kurt Busch ducks on the pit road. 21 car of Cindric now into the top spot. Almost a 4-wide battle for second position as Harvick tries to force it in down on the bottom. The 95 stops up the 20 and allows the 37 of Eric Jones to shoot by up on the outside and take away the race lead. Harrison Burton still stopping up the outside lane. And the 20 car of Brandon Jones getting boxed in. How about this? The 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto's raced his way up into 5th position by getting around the lap traffic, and the car is stuck in line behind the lap car as the 18 and 20 cars still drop back. 92 of Jimmy Johnson made up a good 5 positions getting around the slowing lead lap cars, as now the 37 signals that he'll be coming onto pit road, this time by 37, 41, 20, and several others coming down pit road. The race leader is now Austin Cindric in the 21 car for the Wood brothers, above the 4 of Kevin Harvick, who has swept both stages so far, then the 6 of Newman, and the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto on fresh rubber, and as well a fresh load of fuel. So that means they will have an advantage above all the cars that have to come down pit road still, as well as the 10 car of Almirola, who has already come down pit road. Here comes the 4 of Harvick to the inside, the 21, going for the top spot through turns 3 and 4. Cindric backs up just a little bit as he gets boxed in by the lap car of Bubba Wallace. Here comes DiBenedetto on the inside, as Cindric ducks onto pit road. Matt DiBenedetto going for the top spot down the front straightaway, side by side with the 4 of Kevin Harvick. But Harvick gets the advantage down the front stretch with now just 20 laps to go here at Indianapolis. Kevin Harvick, still your race leader above the 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto, 6 of Newman, just about half a second back from the 4. Jimmy Johnson running in 4th position. Now Harvick gets just a little bit of the draft from the 37 car of Eric Jones, trying to conserve some of his fuel. Here comes Newman down to the inside of the 2 of DiBenedetto. Newman going for second. Does not look like he's going to be able to take the spot, as here comes the 4 and 6 cars of Harvick and Newman into the pits with Matt DiBenedetto still on the racetrack as your race leader. Jimmy Johnson taking up 2nd position in the 92 car for Chip Ganassi Racing. 3rd position has been taken by the 10 of Eric Almirola, and 4th by the 33 car of Jan Magnussen. Oh, trouble in the back. The 18 car of Kyle Busch puts the 10 of Eric Almirola into the inside wall. So far, no caution. The 2 of Matt DiBenedetto is still out front above the 92 car of Jimmy Johnson, as the 10 of Eric Almirola will likely be coming down pit road with the severe damage that he got getting into the inside wall. That puts an end to Almirola's chances of taking advantage of the strategy. And here's what happened. The 10 car of Almirola is still out on the racetrack. The 34 of McDowell and the 18 cars of Kyle Busch are merging with the field. The 34 makes contact with the 18, turning him up into the 10 of Almirola. They make contact right there, turning the 10 car down into the inside wall with a very hard impact to the left side. But the fact that that damage happened off the racetrack, I believe NASCAR is going to keep us under green, because most of the debris is not on the racing surface. The lap car of Eric Jones now trying to get his way to the inside of the 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto. If we do get a caution, or if these leaders have to come down pit road, he will be one of the front runners. Jimmy Johnson in legitimate contention of taking home his 5th career Brickyard 400 and tying Jeff Gordon at the top of the list of Brickyard 400 winners. Farther back, we have the 33 car of Jan Magnussen, an IMSA titleist and multi-time NASCAR Cup Series winner at this point, but only on road courses. This could mark his first career oval race win in the series. Another driver who is still out on the racetrack taking advantage of the strategy is the 19 team of Martin Truex Jr. They have raced their way up to 4th position. Finally, the 10 of Eric Almirola is coming off of pit road after that severe damage he got in that skirmish with the 18 of Kyle Busch. An unfortunate story for him, especially getting no caution. And guess what, folks? The pack is coming. The 37 of Eric Jones is 1 lap down, currently racing to get back onto the lead lap from the 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto. And farther back, we have all of the cars that came down pit road on fresh rubber, and they will be quickly running down the race leaders. Here comes Eric Jones to the inside, the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto, and Johnson trying to go almost 3 wide down to turn 1. Johnson backs out, entering the first turn, the number 92 car, with now just 15 laps to go here at Indianapolis. How will the strategy play out? And if we get one more caution, that's going to completely shake things up. Look at this farther back. This is the battle for 11th position, currently being held by the 21 car of Cindric and the 41 of Cole Custer up into 12th position right now. A great run going on for Custer. Kurt Busch has now raced his way up into 13th position. You can see right up in front of this pack is the race leaders of DiBenedetto and Johnson. Oh, DiBenedetto gets forced wide by the 37 of Eric Jones entering turn number 1. Jones trying to get back onto the lead lap. Where will Johnson go? Looks like Johnson's going to side with the 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto. That means Eric Jones will not get back onto the lead lap just yet. The slow number 10 car of Eric Almirola is the first lap car up in front of race leader Matt DiBenedetto. Almirola is about 20 miles an hour off the pace. The 92 of Jimmy Johnson has just raced his way almost around the 37 of Eric Jones. Might be able to clear him off into turn number 1. And it looks like he has done it. So now Johnson with a straight shot on the number 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto for the race lead. And the pack is coming, being led by the 21 of Cindric, tandeming with the 41 of Cole Custer. Down the backstretch. And also the lap car of Eric Almirola, another lap car of Harrison Burton right up in front of the leaders. And remember that now the cars that came down pit road like Cindric, Custer, McDowell, Newman, all these competitors have about a 15-lap tire advantage on race leader Matt DiBenedetto and Jimmy Johnson as now they get around the lap traffic with ease. The 21 of Cindric has got right up to the back bumper, the 37, as the field splits the 10 and 95. Harvick going very far up the racetrack to try and get around the 95 car. Here comes a 3-wide move to the inside of Jimmy Johnson by Cindric and Custer, forcing Johnson back. The 33 car of Jan Magnussen is a part of this lead draft, as the 37 has once again gotten away with the advantage. The 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto still holds a pretty significant advantage now with Johnson dropping back. It's going to be an over 1 second lead for Matt DiBenedetto. It's really turned into whether or not DiBenedetto, Johnson, Magnussen, and all these competitors have to come down pit road. Because if they do, it's going to ruin their strategy. But if they don't, and they can stretch their field to the end, it might be a perfect opportunity to take home a race win. 4 wide entering turn 1. Brandon Jones all the way on the inside. He backs out. Jimmy Johnson still dropping back in the 92 car for Chip Ganassi Racing. Up on the outside lane, it looks like that might allow Jan Magnussen to take up second. And here comes the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto now dropping back as the 37 and 21 cars get back onto the lead lap. 6 car of Newman all the way down on the inside, forcing the 2 car even wider up the racetrack. Lap car of Larson right up in front of them. And every car that gets around the 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto is another car back on the lead lap. And that means if we get a caution flag here with now just 10 laps to go, they will be back in contention for a race win. 4 wide entering turn number 1 as the 57 car drops back. That's the lap car of Larson as the field almost cleanly got around him. So the 6th place runner of Anthony Alfredo had to come down pit road. He's on the same strategy as the 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto. They're definitely getting close on their fuel number. Now 4 wide entering turn number 3. The 37 gets forced wide by the 6 of Newman and the 20 of Brandon Jones. Eric Jones up into the outside wall. He manages to catch it. Magnussen has just taken up second position off of the 92 car of Jimmy Johnson as Johnson still dropping back. The 22 and 19 still on this same strategy as well. Matt DiBenedetto getting forced wide by the 4 car of Harvick. Harvick trying to get back onto the lead lap as well. The gap between first and second is now just 9/10, separating DiBenedetto from Magnussen. 3 cars on the lead lap in the lead draft as the 23 car of Wallace bottles up the field down the back stretch. As you recall, Wallace made contact with Chase Elliott earlier in this race, knocking a whole lot of the pace out of that 23 car. Race leader gets put 4 wide through turns 3 and 4. Very dicey moment right there as Magnussen still closing the gap. Matt DiBenedetto starting to drop back very quickly. 33 car of Magnussen conserving his tires, starting to gain a significant amount of ground in the draft. The gap now is just 0.3 of a second. The top 3 cars are separated by 9/10, with a remarkable amount of lap traffic racing with the leaders. The 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto trying to make it work through the middle lane, as the 4 of Harvick battles alongside the 21 of Cindric for 7th position. Right now, DiBenedetto's in a very uncomfortable position, being put up to the middle lane once again. Lap traffic all surrounding him, as the 33 car of Magnussen looks like he'll be able to cut down to the inside, make up time on the 2 of DiBenedetto. Once again, the 2 car pushes on the exit of turn number 4. They're trying to push their tires maybe beyond the limit. Magnussen has closed the gap down to just 0.3 of a second. He's going to try and force it in down on the inside as the 2 car drifts up the racetrack once again. The 22, 19, and 55 cars are the only additional cars on the strategy of the race leaders, and they are still out on the racetrack. The top 6 cars right now utilizing the same strategy that brought Magnussen, Johnson, and DiBenedetto up to the front. And this time by, Matt DiBenedetto ducks down to pit road, as well as the 92 car of Jimmy Johnson and the 55 of Ross Chastain. So now the 33 of Jan Magnussen has taken away the race lead with just 6 laps to go. Can he save enough gas? I don't think he's going to be able to, but if he really backs off the pace, he might have a shot at it. Magnussen has to try and stay in the draft to try and save as much fuel as he's trying to save, as the 19 car of Truex has also opted to stay out. He has assumed 2nd position. The 22 of Joey Logano is also on pit road as well. This time by, Jan Magnussen hits the pits. We also have to wait for a decision from the 19 team of Martin Truex Jr., who currently reside in 2nd. They will be hitting the pits as well. Truex down pit road. Here comes the pack, the 21 of Austin Cindric leading it, as the 2 of DiBenedetto and 92 of Jimmy Johnson have come off pit road in front of the rest of the lead lap cars. Lap traffic has really bottled up the pack right here, with Larson up in front of the 4 car of Harvick. Jan Magnussen coming off of pit road, just barely in front of the 2 and 92 cars of Johnson and Matt DiBenedetto. With just 5 laps to go here at Indianapolis, there is a tremendous amount of strategy going on, almost reminiscent of the Indy 500 in many ways. Jan Magnussen only went for just barely a splash of fuel on his pit stop, getting him out in front of the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto, 92 of Jimmy Johnson, and the rest of the pack. So Jan Magnussen is trying to stretch just a little bit of fuel to the end, as they barely got any fuel in that race car, just enough to hopefully get him to the finish. It's also important to note that the top 3 runners did not take on tires. Magnussen, DiBenedetto, and Johnson all opted to stay on their set of tires to try and use their advantage of track position in front of the field, because right now the pack is not organized enough to make significant gains. The gap at the start-finish line between 1st and 2nd was 2.14 seconds, separating Magnussen from DiBenedetto with less than 3 laps to go around the 2.5-mile quad oval here in Speedway, Indiana. The 2 car of DiBenedetto is closing incredibly fast on the 33 car of Magnussen, as Magnussen is still trying to save gas. Here comes the 2, working with the 92 car of Johnson. Now just 2 laps to go. They have closed the gap down to just half a second, separating the 33 from the 2 car. I don't think Magnussen's going to be able to block him. He gets right up in front of the 2 car of DiBenedetto, but can't hold him off. Down the back straightaway, no lap traffic in front of the race leaders. Matt DiBenedetto looks like he's going to take the race lead away down the back stretch. Magnussen dropping down to 3rd position as Jimmy Johnson takes up 2nd. Out of turn number 4. Just 1 lap to go here at Indianapolis. Tyler Reddick taking up 4th position, with Cole Custer now into 5th. The pack is back into the mix. White flag is out. Lap traffic up in front of the race leaders. We have the 38 and 96 in front of race leader Matt DiBenedetto, with Jimmy Johnson closing right up to the back bumper of the 2 car. Down the back straightaway, Johnson's got to set up a run on Matt DiBenedetto. I don't think he's got the momentum to pull it off. Running single file as the 2 car breaks the 92 car's draft. through 3 and 4. For the final time, here comes Johnson. Right up to the back bumper of Matt DiBenedetto. Now looks to the inside. Jimmy Johnson, side by side with Matt DiBenedetto at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Down to the stripe. Johnson looking for his 5th win in this race. At the line, it is DiBenedetto winning. Matt DiBenedetto wins the Brickyard 400 of 2021 in a photo finish above Jimmy Johnson, missing out on his 5th career win here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. DiBenedetto brings one home for the captain, Roger Penske. Incredible strategy there at the end. Jan Magnussen actually brought that 33 car home in 3rd position. But an incredible performance out of the number 2 team to take home the victory here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Reddick made his way into 4th position but could not close the gap there at the end. Oh, so close yet again for Jimmy Johnson, coming up just about a half a car length short from taking home his 5th career Brickyard 400. An incredible performance by the number 92 team here at the Brickyard. And I wouldn't doubt Jimmy Johnson coming back to this race next season after coming just so close to taking home the victory. But yet again, another runner-up for Johnson. But an incredible performance here in the final 20 laps for the Team Penske number 2 team, taking advantage of the strategy, getting out front, performing that late race pit stop, getting that splash of fuel, and taking home the victory here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and DiBenedetto scoring his 1st win of the 2021 season in a points-paying event. And the gap at the start-finish line was just 37 one-thousandths of a second, separating Matt DiBenedetto from Jimmy Johnson. DiBenedetto takes home the victory, his 1st points-paying win of the 2021 season, and his 1st points win with Team Penske. DiBenedetto now has a career win in both the Coca-Cola 600 and the Brickyard 400, taking home 2 big-time wins in NASCAR's Cup Series in his rather short tenure as a full-time competitor. Johnson, obviously dejected after coming so close to taking home yet another victory, but proud of the effort that Chip Ganassi Racing put out with their 4th entry, and I'm sure Johnson's going to be back in NASCAR very soon, because this was too close of a call for Johnson to not get that fire once again to try and compete in maybe a couple more races later on this season. Jan Magnussen, coming very close to what could have been his 1st career oval race win, still brought it home in 3rd position with almost nothing left there to try and challenge the 2 and 92 cars. So Magnussen bringing home that 3rd place finish is a very good finish for them as they came into this race outside the top 30 in the regular season standings. They might be back up into a playoff spot after this one. Tyler Reddick finished in 4th position in the 8 car for Richard Childress Racing, a good comeback after missing the races at Pocono. Cole Custer brought the 41 car home in 5th. The highest finishing Stewart-Haas car, which is a bit of a surprise there. Kevin Harvick, who won both stages, brought the 4 car home in 6th position. Ryan Newman in 7th in the 6 car for Roush Fenway Racing. The 21 of Austin Cindric in 8th position. The 20 car of Brandon Jones in 9th position. And Kyle Busch, returning to Cup Series action in the 18 car, brought it home in 10th position. In your regular season point standings, following the race here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Kevin Harvick is back on top by 23 points above Denny Hamlin after Hamlin finished dead last here at Indy. Joey Logano still sets 3rd in the point standings, 25 points out of the point lead. Matt DiBenedetto picks up a full 4 spots in the standings following his win here in the Brickyard 400. He is now 37 points out of the point lead. Chase Elliott drops down 1 spot in the standings, down to 5th. He has 45 points out of the lead. Daniel Suarez drops down 1 spot in the standings to 6th. He is now 50 points out of the point lead. Alex Bowman stays in 7th, 56 points out of the lead. Martin Truex Jr. actually picked up 2 spots in the standings, up to 8th in the point standings, 62 points out of the point lead. Brandon Jones picked up 2 spots as well, up to 9th in the standings, 64 points out of the point lead. And Kyle Larson dropped down 4 spots in the point standings, 67 points out of the point lead in the 57 car for LGR. And here is now your playoff standings. Kevin Harvick, Brandon Jones, Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin, Matt DiBenedetto, Chase Elliott, Daniel Suarez, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, and Jan Magnussen are all locked into the playoffs with their wins. Make note of Magnussen finishing in third position here at Indianapolis, moved him from 32nd all the way up to 28th in the standings, meaning that his win at Palm Beach International Raceway now makes him eligible once again for a playoff spot, but he's still riding a very fine line of dropping out. Harrison Burton, Anthony Alfredo, and now Josh Bilicki are the drivers who have wins this season but are outside of the playoffs, looking in if they can make it into a top 30 in the regular season standings. Joey Logano is currently the best of the rest, 59 points above the cutoff line. He has not won since last season, early in the year at Nashville, but has still stayed very consistent. Alex Bowman, who finished 5th in points last season in the 88 car, moves over to the 48 this season after Johnson left Hendrick Motorsports. He currently sets 28 points above the cutoff line. Brad Keselowski and Eric Jones are both 9 points above the cut line. Tyler Reddick is 7 points above. Then Kurt Busch is 7 points out. Justin Allgaier is 18 points out. Clinton Boyer, after DNFing again here at Indianapolis, sets 25 points out of making the playoffs. And finally, Quinn Half, who sets 20th in the playoff standings, sets 28 points out of making the playoffs. And so, folks, we hope that you have enjoyed our telecast of the Brickyard 400 here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The next time you'll be seeing us will be on Post Tech, where we go over the Blue Emu Maximum Pain Relief 200 from Kansas Speedway in the Camping World Truck Series, back to traditional mile-and-a-half racing out at the Kansas Speedway. And so now we congratulate Matt DiBenedetto and company, taking home their first points-paying win of the 2021 season, locking themselves into the playoffs starting at Darlington.